Brooklyn Independent Television.
This year marked Brooklyn's first annual Gang Prevention Summit, where community leaders came together and discussed ways to curb violence and gang activity in the borough. Lauren Moraski attended the summit and discovered a group that's helping keep young adults off the streets.
I went through the negative part and I seen how they were not there for me, how they claimed they were supposed to be there for me when they were not. So actually it's like you fighting for colors, you're fighting for a lie, you're living for a lie.
Growing up in Brooklyn wasn't always easy for James Escalin. During high school in East New York, peer pressure led him to join a gang.
Like it's a hard place to come up in. Like, you know, there's negative, positive aspects, and peer pressure, no matter what community you're in, you're gonna run into it. There's gangs everywhere, Bloods, Crips, Latin Kings, you got a bunch of gangs nowadays. Now it's just turned into violence, money, and drugs, which is not what it was supposed to be about.
I was surprised to find out that when James really needed his gang pals, they were nowhere to be found.
At the end of the day, when you get locked up from dealing with this stuff, none of them are not gonna bring you commissary, they're not gonna bail you out, they're not gonna visit you, they're not gonna write you.
James is not alone.
I thought I was stable like most of my life, but people make mistakes. Some things you do bad, some things you do good.
To give you it all, it's a hard experience, like I seen kids getting sliced, I seen kids getting jumped, or if you wanted to be the neutral kid, that didn't work either, So it was like you had to pick a side. It wasn't really optional, to be neutral. If you were neutral, you would have to be a real strong individual.
I was never really involved in the gang, but I've been around gangs the majority of my life, and the majority of my friends were in gangs. They were either Bloods or Crips. The majority of them were Bloods. I never felt pressure to get into a gang because I have a lot of family, and I felt like people get into gangs to have that family setting, that family orientation, because they don't have their own family.
That's the answer. The answer is that you go to where they are.
Providing young people with support and alternatives was the reason community leaders held the Gang Prevention Summit this year at Polytechnic University. I was impressed by the number of people who attended, and everyone was really passionate about helping today's youth.
It is frustrating to be out there on those streets and see our young people die, continue to die and fill up prisons, not because that's what they're destined to do, but because society as a whole sits by and watches that.
What I can tell you is that I've never attended as many funerals as I was 10 years ago, 5 years ago. What I'm telling you is that the accessibility to weapons for young people to get their hands on guns it's much easier for them to do it now than it was 5 years ago. And some of the things that we're seeing in the community are definitely alarming. So in my personal opinion and professional, by what I see and whom I work with, it's definitely gotten a lot worse. But most importantly, we have a lot of alternatives now and programs and grassroots organizations that are developing some effective programming and models to affect change.
There was sort of an increase in gang membership among young people and interest in things gang-like. But it was a lot of, in my opinion, emulation of West Coast styles and Chicago styles that they were trying to recreate here in New York with dangerous kinds of implications to it.
What I see now is that it's gotten better. Our information is much better. The police department has a very aggressive stance against gangs. They're working better with the community. It could be better. It could always be better. And it's been a little slower in certain parts of Brooklyn because of high concentration of people, more gang members, more drug dealers, but they have plenty of initiatives.
One of those initiatives comes from the Italian American Civil Rights League in East New York.
So eventually, what kind of skills are you learning that can carry over to your next position?
I was a former gang member of Bloods, and I changed my life around through God. I did prison time, and I just changed my life around, and now I give back. The things that I've learned, I'm trying to give back to the community, the young adults, just to give back. And I do it from my heart. I don't get paid a lot of money because I'm a nonprofit, so everything I do is just from my heart.
Greg works with the SEEK program, which does career mentoring and places young adults into internships and jobs.
I just want to see success, and when some of you don't make it, I take it personally, and it really hurts my heart.
The gang issue still exists here in Brooklyn, but many are trading in the streets for the chance of a better future.
I always was looking to brush up on my professionalism skills. See, being in a gang and smoking weed and sitting on the corner hustling and just trying to talk to girls all day, you don't make any progress. Like, you're not gonna make any progress in the real world. You're not gonna be able to get a job doing that. You're not gonna be able to finance a car. You're not gonna be able to go to college doing things like that. And those are things I feel like are very important in life.
So I came here looking to further my intellectual skills, and I got what I wished for.
Actually, the SEEK program, I feel, is like a water well in the community. It's like nurturing to these kids' souls because they need somebody to talk to, they need somebody to direct them.
What advice would you give to someone who's maybe just in high school right now that might be tempted to get involved in something like that?
Observe. You can see, you can do your homework. I tell people that's in high school, stay in school. Knowledge is the key. Intelligence will get you everywhere. Gangs will get you nowhere.
My advice to anybody that might want to join a gang, first, you have to observe. Second, you have to be a thinking person. You have to think the pros and cons of being in a gang. Now, if you need that family setting, the gang is not the only way to go. You can always come to a program like this.
I'm Lauren Moraski for Brooklyn Review.
Brooklyn Independent Television on the BCAT TV network.